Dana White versus the coronavirus. All right, it's a funny title, but it's actually what we're here to talk about. Dana White, the UFC versus the coronavirus, and what I mean is that why is the UFC trying so hard to throw events in a time where it seems like everything is shut down, right? We're not here to talk about the controversy so much. In my opinion, I think they shouldn't be throwing any events. I think they should just postpone everything and then just start, doing what they're doing after all this calms down. But April 18th, we're gonna have the second event from the UFC after the lockdowns have started. And as of April 18th, Dana White, and I quote, said, "We're going to be having events every week. They're going to be jumping back to schedule, regular schedule, and they're going to be pumping out fights every week. They're going to have two unknown locations, one being in Native American soil for fights in the US, and then they're going to have a private, isolated island somewhere. No one knows where it is either, and that's going to be for international fights. So, for example, any events they had like in Europe, in Asia, things like that, they're going to have that in this international waters island that we don't know about. So, why is the UFC doing this? Why are they going through this hassle? Well, I think this is just who they are. This is who Dana White is. Like, if you've been watching the sport for a while, you've been following the sport for a couple of years, and you've seen the UFC and how they deal with things, and what kind of psychology they have when it comes to business and taking care of the company. Man, they always want to move forward. Like, they're always trying to get that next step in. And they never let anything slow them down. They just I gotta give them props for that, because when the UFC says they're gonna do something, when they officially come out and say like we're gonna do this and this, they put 110% of their effort into making sure they do what they said they're gonna do. And you go back in history, like go way back, go to the tragedies of 9/11, and you saw how the UFC reacted to that. They were like, "Oh shit!" They had an event. I think like Tito Ortiz was on it. I'm not sure. Like right now on the top of my head. And they were like, "Should we do this? Should we not do this?" And then they decided like, "No, we're gonna freaking do this, man. Like we need to show the people like, hey, I know something really really horrible just happened. We know like." There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of weight on everyone's shoulder. Everyone feels sad, everyone feels down. No one feels like they can just jump back to normal life, but they're gonna have to at some point, right? Like, you're gonna have to get back to your day-to-day things. You're gonna have to get back to your normal routine at some point. And when they threw that event, it was a huge success, and it brought life like back. Like Dana White talks about it all the time. Like in Las Vegas, it was like a dead city. And that city is never dead except of now, probably in coronavirus again. Everything's like locked down, but there was no lockdown then. But there was there wasn't like many airplanes flying around. People weren't out on the streets like gambling and partying. Everyone would have felt like what's going on. But then it brought life back to everyone. It made everyone realize like, hey man, we need to get back to normal life. And it came out really good for the UFC. I think this is exactly what's happening right now. I think this is just the exact same thing. Um, all major sports around the world have closed down. They've shut down. Um, Everything. I mean, is is affecting every person on this earth. This coronavirus, and the UFC is still gonna push forward with fights. Just think about this. How much easier is it for the UFC to just be like, all right, we're gonna postpone everything. We're gonna postpone everything. We don't have to buy fighters. We don't have to pay our employees most probably. We don't have to go through all this like hassle and headaches of doing all this work. We don't have to like get up every day, fix like a million problems, and then wake up the next day. to a whole set of new problems because the rules changed again because of this coronavirus, and now this arena that we just made deals with, now they're on lockdown. We can't do that. Now we have to find a new arena, and this fighter we just signed to fight on this card, now he can't leave his like state or country or whatever, and now it's so many like things like. And then also obviously the criticism, from the media, from from everyone, from the people, from the fans, from people outside the sport. People even from outside the sport are looking in, and they're like, hey, why is the UFC throwing events, man? Like, we're all on lockdown, like, what are you guys doing? um so there's a lot of heat, man, like on the UFC, I think, because of what they're doing, and also the money they're spending. I mean, they're buying an island or renting out an island. I'm not sure about the exact details. It's gonna cost a lot of money, man. If you want to rent out an island or buy it or whatever you want to, like private islands somewhere, it's gonna cost a lot of money. So it's just not financial reason that the UFC is doing this. The UFC can sit out and wait it out. They have no problem with that. They have enough money to do that. But it's the mentality. Like, they have not canceled an event more than once in their history. UFC 151 was the event they canceled. It was because John Jones didn't want to fight Chael Sonnen. Dan Henderson was supposed to fight John Jones. Dan Henderson pulls out with an injury. They replace him with Chael Sonnen, but Jones says no. 1 or 2 weeks notice. I'm not sure. It was like 1 or 2 weeks, short notice. It was like, no, I'm not doing that, and they had to cancel that event because they just didn't have enough, names on the rest of the card. But I'm not surprised by the UFC doing this, and to put our perspective, to see like the UFC's perspective. This is a high risk, high reward move for sure, 100%. And if it pays off really, really well, really, really well. If it works out, the UFC are heroes. They figured out a way to keep everyone safe, right? They figured out a way to take care of everyone. They're taking care of their fighters, they're taking care of their fighters' families, they're taking care of their employees, they're taking care of the media members, they're taking care of anybody. They have a freaking island, and then some other unknown location. It's gonna be definitely like just secured and cut out, from anyone except the UFC. They're also gonna be given live events for fans quarantined at home, freaking out, wanting to do something, not knowing what to do all day. They're gonna give them events every week, which means every day, Monday is gonna be, we're talking about the fights that just happened, and at the same time, talking about the fights that will happen in just less than a week. So we're always gonna have something to talk about as well, So the fans are gonna really appreciate that. The UFC is gonna be like, look at us, like, this is what separates us from other sports. We go out and do shit. All these other sports, like, they close down. All right, we get it. It's dangerous, but they were not able to do what we could do. Look how much, like, we care about safety, and like how much we're willing to do for our sport and for our fighters and for our fans. That's what they're gonna say, and they're gonna have the right to say that if it works out. But if it doesn't work out, if it backfires, this is where I worry. Because it's not gonna affect the world. Like, it's not gonna affect the whole world, but you only need one person that slips through whatever safety net the UFC is making. You just need one person to slip through. You're testing everyone, all this, all that, yeah. You test some guy or some girl, and you think they're clean, whatever, you think they're fine, yep, he's good, approved, let him in. And it turns out, he's got something. And now everyone's infected. Or like 70, 80, 90% of the people are infected. And the people who are infected, are people in high positions in the UFC. Now they can't go around do anything. It's top contenders, and just other contenders and fighters, fellow fighters. They're infected, so they're completely out, and they probably will infect their coaches. So any coach, any fighter fighting under that coach, now he can't fight anymore, and he can't even have his coach around anymore. They're all gonna have to be quarantined. Any media members are going to also be quarantined. They're also going to be, infected. And now think about it. The people, the media members that are going to be going to these events are probably, important media people. There's only so much media in the UFC, in MMA, right? Like people who are actually worth listening to. No offense, but they're gonna be quarantined off. Imagine having no media for MMA anymore because the UFC wanted to throw a freaking event and they promised everyone it's gonna be safe, and now everyone's infected. Like it's gonna look so bad. It's gonna look so bad, and everybody who's criticizing the UFC and Dana White right now is gonna come out of the woodworks and be like, "We told you so." Like they're gonna be on them like so bad, and UFC and Dana White, they're not gonna be able to say anything. Like, what can they say? They said it's gonna be safe, and it turns out it's not. Like, well, hello, like the whole world's been telling you it's not safe. There's a reason everyone's on lockdown. Also, another part of this story that's really, really interesting is that fighters are not actually gonna know where this event is going to be. They're literally fighters are literally going to be flown out, and they're not gonna know where they're flying to. I mean, how crazy is that? It's unheard of. That's ridiculous. Imagine just going somewhere, flying in a plane. You don't know where that plane is going. You land somewhere. You land at some airport that they probably just like made right now. They have to, like, if they have an island, don't they have to build an airport? Probably. I don't know. I don't know how these things work, but it's gonna be so crazy. Imagine finding somewhere and you don't even know where you are. I mean, that's what the doctor asks you. If you get concussed, it's like, where are you? Do you know where you are? It's like, nope. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want you guys to comment below what you think. Do you think the UFC should be doing this, or do you think the UFC should not be doing this? If you enjoyed what you watched, like this video, subscribe to us for more, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a video. Thank you guys very much for watching.